ज्ञानतिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूप कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकम्। वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरु श्रीयुतपदकमलं श्रीगुरुं वैष्णवांश श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं सहगण रघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधा कृष्णपदान् सहगण ललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितांश्च। नमः ॐ विष्णुपादाय कृष्णपृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्त स्वामिन्निति नामिने। नमस्ते सारस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देशतारिणे। हे कृष्णा करुणा सिंधु दीनबंधु जगत्पते गोपेश गोपिका कांत राधा कांत नमस्तुते। तप्त कांचन गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये। वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्येव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद। हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। Hare Krishna. So welcome to the Sri Harinam Chintamani series every Saturday and Sunday. We have been discussing the 14th chapter of Seva Aparad, and we had almost 4 classes. In the first class, we mainly discussed the overview of Sri Harinam Chintamani, because it is important now that we know the overview of Sri Harinam Chintamani. And we discussed this from 2 different perspectives. One is from the 15 chapters of Sri Harinam Chintamani, classifying them as Sambandha, Abhideya and Prayojan, and from the definition of Uttama Bhakti. In Uttama Bhakti, there is Sadhana Bhakti, and there is Bhava Bhakti and Prema Bhakti. I'll just share the screen so that you can have a look. Yes. So one is based on the 15 chapters. There is Sambandha Gyan in first 3 chapters. Abhideya is to avoid the Dashanama Prad, and Prayojan is 14 and 15 chapters. And then from the Uttama Bhakti definition, Sadhana Bhakti, Sadhya Bhakti, Vaidhi and Raganuga. So chapters 1 to 13, Vaidhi Bhakti. Raganuga Bhakti is 14, and Sadhya Bhava and Prema Bhakti is chapter 15. So then we had introduction to the chapter 14, which was very important to understand the whole background. And this was like a long discussion we had about why Pancharatriki Vidhi is important for sadhakas. Although this is the Bhagavad Marg, because our mind and body is very polluted, purification is required to come to the mode of goodness and chant the holy name. And then Lord Chaitanya glorifies Haridas Thakur as the Namacharya, and he asks him to enumerate on the Seva Apradhs. And Haridas Thakur, being very humble, he says, "Oh my Lord, uh, the worshippers of the deity know about these offenses. I am devoted to chanting the holy names. But still, because it is your order, I cannot I cannot, transgress that order. So I will speak." So the Lord is situated in the heart of Haridas Thakur, and by his inspiration, Haridas Thakur as an instrument speaks about deity worship, because although he's not devoted to that path, but because uh, he is fully endowed with spiritual knowledge, Vidya Vadu Jivanam, by chanting the holy names. So he starts enumerating about the offenses to the deity. And then we saw that there are number of offenses in deity worship, and they are in four kinds. Offenses in serving the deity. This the pujaris, while they are serving the deity, this offense can happen. Offense in establishing the deity, that is a one time like pran pratishtha. When the deity installation happens, that time there are can be offenses. Then offenses in gazing the deity, that is those devotees who come to take darshan, they might also commit offenses. And there are miscellaneous offenses to the deity. So we discussed the 32 offenses in deity worship in the last class. So I will just show you the list where we discussed. If you remember from the Padma Puran, I mentioned these are the 32 offenses in the deity worship. Now, I don't remember where, up till which point we have discussed in the last class. Anyone remembers which was the last point we discussed, or did we finish discussing the 32 offenses? Anyone knows can raise their hand. I don't exactly remember. Yes, Virendra Yadav Prabhuji. Yes.
Hare Krishna, Guruji, Dandavat Pranam. We had enumerated Guruji 32 offenses and we discussed those offenses.
Oh, okay,
32.
correct.
There was a lot
Yes.
of discussion on individual offenses, a lot of questions, answers.
Yes, yes, yes. So, yeah, correct. So now I will just discuss some points regarding these 32 offenses from the slides. I think both are clubbed together. Okay, so, okay, then first, okay, let us first go to the other offenses. Now, after describing these 32 offenses in worshipping deity are described in the Mahapuran, Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu mentions it as a Padma Puran. Anya Shastra Mate Prakara Varnan, another description in another scripture. So this again, Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu mentions it as a Vara Puran. In the Vara Puran, there is a discussion of the deity, offenses to the deities. So let us go to text 25 of Sri Harinam Chintamani, 14th chapter. Anyatra Ache Aparada Anyatama Sankshepa Bolibe Prabhu Tava Ichamata. O Lord, Prabhu, I, by your wish, Tava Ichamata, I will briefly repeat. Sankshepa Bolibe, another description of offenses in another place. Anyatra Ache Aparad Antyatama in the scriptures. Sankshipe Bolive. So now from 26 verse of Sri Harinam Chintamani till 40, he starts describing and enumerating the offenses from another scripture, and it is mentioned in the Varapuran as I mentioned. Now let us go one by one, and devotees who have questions about any of these offenses, they can raise their hand and we will take up. One should not touch the deity in a dark room. One should not fail to strictly follow the rules and regulations in worshipping the deity. Very important. Strictly follow. Very, very important it is. Whether one is a practicing sadhana bhakti, or one is a very exalted devotee who is practicing raganuga bhakti or bhava bhakti also, one should strictly follow the rules and regulations of worshipping the deity. Otherwise, we will, commit offense in deity worship. One of the sannyasis was mentioning that in Krishna Balram Mandir, one of the pujaris, while doing his deity worship, one day he got on the altar and went and hugged Krishna. So all this, is uh, no, it's not a proper etiquette. Sometimes we might do it out of sentimentality, but we should strictly, very, very strictly follow the rules and regulations of worshipping the deity. And just to give you an extreme example, in the pastime of Kheer Chora Gopinath, everyone knows the pastime of Kheer Chora Gopinath, I presume. Madhvendra Puri had come to Ramuna, and he saw the beautiful deity of Gopinath, and the pujari was offering kheer. So in his mind, he just thought, oh, if I can taste this kheer, then I can make a similar preparation for my Gopal. It was not for himself to taste, but for Gopal's pleasure. He thought like that, but still he felt, oh, I have committed an offense. Before the deities have had, I thought about it. So that was the exalted level of Madhvendra Puri. And it was Krishna's plan that such a thought came to Madhvendra Puri's mind. And then Madhvendra Puri immediately left the place, and he was sitting in the city, in the village, sitting and chanting. And the pujari offered the milk pots, put the deities to rest, and he went and slept in the night. So when he slept, Gopinath called him, "Hey pujari, get up. I have stolen one kheer pot backside. You can see that I have kept it stolen. I have stolen it for my devotee Madhvendra Puri. Get up and go and give." So the pujari, how exalted is that the Lord directly came in the dream and instructed him to pick up the kheer pot and go and give it to Madhvendra Puri. But what did the pujari do? The pujari did not just get up and straight away run to the altar. He took bath. He took bath and then knocked the door, opened the altar. Although it is night now, the altar is not opened when the Lord is sleeping, because it is Lord order to, go and give this pot. And then he went and he saw backside Kheer Chora Gopinath. The Lord had stolen a pot of kheer for Madhendra Puri. So one should strictly follow the rules and regulations in worshipping the deity. Now, one should not enter the temple of the deity without first making some sound. Now, this is very important that we knock the door. In fact, if you see in the outside world also, some office you go, the boss is MD sitting inside, and you knock the door, you know, and then he might be busy in some other activity, or so that's why it is important that we knock the door to, two reasons. One is to make them aware that we have come, and for us to be conscious that now we are entering the deity room, and we should very consciously serve the deities, without focusing our consciousness on anything else. It is also traditionally in all Vedic temples, you see that while entering the temple, there is a bell we ring. Now, what is the reason the temple bell is there? Anyone would like to throw some light upon it? What is the reason the temple bell is there? Anyone? What is the reason the temple bell is there in temples? Yes, Sunita Mataji.
Hare Krishna, Dandavat Pranam Prabhuji. I'll try the answer, but I think it is we are asking permission for the Lord to have his darshan.
Okay. Anything else? Anyone else? Why do you? It's not just to make noise. Nowadays, it has become a habit that they just keep on ringing the bell. Yes, Satanand Chaitanya Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, Dandavat Pranam. Is it to attract the attention of the deity towards us?
Okay, this is a very interesting thing. It's maybe something opposite, I feel.
Okay, Hari Bol.
You can think something more deeper. Okay, okay. Madan Deshpande Prabhuji. Yes.
Is it to leave our thoughts behind and get connected to the temple deities?
Yeah, but how does that happen? By
When we
ringing the bell.
when we ring the bell, our attention take the attention inside.
Yes, yes. When when you ring the bell, it is to make us conscious and aware that now I'm entering the temple. Let me focus my consciousness, in having the darshan of the deities, and let me leave aside everything else. So this is the main purpose. It's very deep. Just like, to give you an example, you are addicted to every day, or you have liking for ice cream. And as a kid, whenever the ice cream wala comes, what does he do? He rings the bell. Moment he rings the bell, the sound enters, the ears, and then it hits your mind, and you become, oh, now the ice cream guy has come. Let me go and have the ice cream. So once Prabhupada was giving his Bhagavad Gita lecture in his first temple in New York, Fifth Avenue, and these are all new devotees, hippies. And Prabhupada was saying how we should be conscious of Krishna and realize not this body. And that time, the bell of some ice cream, person who's selling the ice cream on the road started ringing. This is Maya. This sound which is coming is Maya. It's going to attract us, and it'll ring a bell in our consciousness. Go and have the ice cream. So devotees should not eat anything outside. Because initially those who were coming to Prabhupada, they used to hear the lecture, do the kirtan, intense kirtan, and just go out, immediately rush out of the temple and go and have whatever they like pizza and whatever, or go and smoke. So Prabhupada was initially training them. So he was telling this ringing is Maya. So similarly, this ringing of the bell in the temple is to take our consciousness away from Maya and direct it towards Krishna. Anand Prabhuji, you wanted to say something?
On the same lines, Prabhuji, as I was wanting to say, is to arise our consciousness and basically to
Yes.
leave all our ego behind.
Yes, yes. Basically, it is to ring in our consciousness that I am entering the temple, to make us conscious about it. Okay. So this is both for the pujari and for us also it is important. One should not offer any foodstuff to the deity which has been seen by dogs or other animals. So this is also very important. In Jagannath Puri, we can see that. One should not break silence while worshipping. One should not pass urine or evacuate while engaging in worshipping. One should not offer incense without offering some flower. So pujaris know about it, that before doing offering the incense, they just first offer flower and then they offer the incense. This is part of deity worship. One should not fail to wash his teeth very carefully every day. Why this is there here? Sometimes one might, argue. If somebody has not brushed his teeth and he comes and starts speaking with you, how will you feel? You feel a little uncomfortable. So how will the Lord feel, if you're not brushed your teeth and you're coming and worshipping? The Lord also he's supreme conscious, and why this my pujari is not, So we have to do it in a very personal way. That's why we should be very careful about it. One should not enter the temple directly after sexual intercourse. One should not touch a woman during her menstrual period. One should not enter the temple after touching a dead body. One should not enter the temple wearing garments of red or blue color or garments which are unwashed. So this is very important. I think many devotees are not aware that we should not wear red and blue color garments, and which are unwashed also. We should wear fresh clothes every day in the morning when we come to take darshan of the deities. That's why it is the best thing to do first thing morning before you leave your house and go for the work. Best is to come fresh first to take darshan. Yes, Mataji.
Hare Krishna. Dandavat Pranam Prabhuji. I didn't understand the significance of red and blue color. I had always been thinking about it. Please clarify.
As far as I understand, why only red and blue color are mentioned is basically wearing this type of dress attracts others who are there in the temple, attracts their attention towards you by wearing these colors. These are very attractive. Red is the mode of passion, blue is the mode of ignorance, you can say, in one sense. The attention of others becomes diverted towards you, who is this personality. Suddenly you wear a red dress and you enter, people's, because the modes are there, attention diverts towards you. But more important is that my attention is towards the Lord. So instead of my attention going towards the Lord, we become conscious. Oh, he's observing me. He's looking at me. So that's why then we are absorbed in bodily consciousness more instead of becoming Krishna conscious by having darshan. So that is why it is recommended. That's why one should wear very light, sober colors and not jazzy colors. In fact, not only red and blue. In today's world, we should say that very, very jazzy colors by which it will attract people's attention. I hope this is clear, Mataji.
Yes, Prabhuji, very clear. But black color is also there. So I was thinking why black color is not mentioned, because black is also a significance of ignorance, no?
That's why I mentioned blue and red are more attractive compared to black. Black also is not recommended in one sense, but red and blue is what is mentioned here. And that is what I have seen in all other references also. It is red and blue which is mentioned, especially red and blue. Black can be sometimes quite sober. So, but too much dark black is also not so good. But basically red and blue are mentioned. That's it I can say about it.
Okay, thank you, Prabhuji.
Okay. One should not enter the temple after, okay, we have finished. One should not pass air within the temple. So this is also very important. One should not be angry within the temple. One should not enter the temple after visiting a crematorium. One should not belch before the deity. I hope now Shatanand Chaitanya Prabhuji had a question, I think in the last class. Shatanand Chaitanya Prabhuji?
Krishna Prabhu?
Yes, one should not belch before the deity.
Okay, Prabhu, I got it.
You got it now?
Yes,
Because after taking prasad, usually, within half an hour to hour, you will definitely belch.
Mhm.
And that's not a proper etiquette. In fact, if a very great personality is also, you are speaking to him and you suddenly belch, it's not a good sign also, it is said.
Mhm. Okay.
So the same
But
applies to the Lord.
okay. But
So
Prabhu,
this,
does this apply even when the altar is closed?
it's mentioned one should not belch before the deity. That means, it's very clear that, you are inside with your boss in the room
Okay.
and you should not belch. But once you go out of the room, then you can belch.
Okay.
So that part should be taken care. The altar is closed. better to avoid after a certain time of food, then only go and take darshan. If the altar is closed, then I don't see it as a problem.
Okay, Prabhuji. Hari.
Another thing important, from Ayurvedic perspective is there are certain Vegas which should not be, which should not be controlled, which should not be controlled, like passing urine. If you try to hold it and try to stretch it, it can have reaction in the body, and it is very detrimental for the health of the body. So moment you feel like you need to pass water, you should find a place where you can do so. So this is there is also mentioned that one should not stop the belch, because the air from the stomach is going out. So if you hold the air back and try to restrain your belch, the air goes back in the stomach. The body wants the air to go out. It is unwanted air, it has to go out, and you try to hold the belch, so the air goes back in the stomach and creates disturbance in the stomach. So then you have to excuse yourself, go aside somewhere, belch out, and then come back maybe. So this is a part of sadachar, part of an etiquette, Vaishnav sadachar. And the more you follow this Vaishnav etiquette, the more you will come to the mode of goodness. And then you can chant attentively the holy name. Okay. One should not, well before that, one should not smoke marijuana or ganja. One should not take opium or similar intoxicants. One should not enter the deity room or touch the body of the deity after having smeared oil over the body. For pujaris, if they have oil bath, and then after oil bath, they should not go and do deity worship. It is not recommended. One should not show disrespect to a scripture teaching about the supremacy of the Lord. One should not introduce an opposing scripture. One should not chew betel before the deity. Betel is pan, chewing before the deity. One should not offer a flower which was kept in an unclean pot. So it's very important. The pots also which we use for collecting the flowers should be, many use plastic, when they want to, but better to have something natural, made of natural material, which we can wash it, like made of straw, and then get that. And then the more we follow this cleanliness, the more we will come to the mode of goodness, the more we become conscious that we are doing this for the Lord. Yes, Sunita Mataji.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, I had one question. Sometimes it happens that very sweet smelling flowers, when we offer, later on there are black ants from the stems. They come and they crawl on the body of the deities. So in that case, what can we do?
One thing is very clear, that one should offer flowers which are fragrant. And about the ants, I'm not aware. I'm aware about the bees humming around, which is considered favorable. But this is a little bit, maybe we have to take care, just like we, when we prepare sweets for the Lord, ants will come. So we have to take care that we keep the kitchen clean, and we take care of the ants by, keeping some sugar here and there, so that they can have their somewhere outside little something like that we do. Even the Charnamrit, which is after doing the Abhishek, the Charnamrit is there. In the temple hall, the Charnamrit is kept. If you are not conscious, that the ants will come there, but it's not proper, how will the devotees take then Charnamrit? So usually a plate is kept in which there is water, and on top of it Charnamrit is kept. So something like that has to be practically done uh, with respect to even deity worship also for the deities. Is it clear, Mataji? We'll have
Yes,
to see
Prabhuji.
practically what is to be done, but we have to offer fragrant flowers. That's important. One should not worship the Lord while sitting on the bare floor. So we need to take an asana. One must have a sitting place or carpet. One should not touch the deity before one has completed taking bath. So this is with that pastime of the pujari of Remuna, which I narrated at the beginning. So although the Lord came in his dream, it is mentioned in the Chaitanya Charitamrita. There is a verse also which says that he took his bath. Uh, he wore flesh clothes because he was already sleeping. He wore flesh clothes and then opened. He also rang the bell. It is mentioned, and then went inside. And he was not so much in ecstasy that, oh, the pujari has stolen. Let me rush. No. Then he was blissful and he was in ecstasy. Uh, that the Lord had stolen this one pot. So this we should be conscious. One should not decorate his forehead with the three-lined tilaka. This is the Shaivats who have that. One should not enter the temple without washing his hands and feet. So this I was mentioning, in the traditional temples, especially in Jagannath Puri, while entering from the Swimadwar, you can see that there is an entrance where the water is flowing below. Naturally, you wash your feet and hand. So devotees should try to follow this, especially in our ISKCON temples, because that kind of facility, especially in the city temples, it's a little difficult, but one should be conscious about it. So if somebody is coming with shoes or slippers, when they take it out, they should wash their hands and at least put few drops on their legs and then enter the temple. Now, many temples I know that there is shoe stand. There is a rack for shoe stand, and there is a devotee who's serving there in the shoe stand. And usually devotees keep their shoes in the shoe stand, and then there is a facility where you can wash your hands and legs. So better to wash your hands and legs before we enter the temple. One should not offer foodstuff which is cooked by a non-Vaishnava. So many devotees ask, can we get something outside, and although it is without onion garlic, or it is from whatever it is, can we offer it to the deities? The deities won't accept it. It is not by non-Vaishnava. That's why we should be very careful about it. So the more stricter you follow, it will lead to more purity. One should not worship the deity before a non-devotee, and one should not engage himself in the worship of the Lord while seeing a non-devotee. And now there is a footnote regarding this. One should offer to the deity food cooked by a pure Vaishnava. Non-Vaishnava should not be present when the deity of the Lord Krishna is worshipped. Now you might say, sometimes there is a public which comes to have darshan, and they are, the altar is open for the evening Gaur Aarti, and the public has come to take darshan. They are all non-devotees in one sense, so how can we worship? What is your answer regarding this? Who will answer this? All of you are asking questions. I have to answer now. I am asking a question. Who will answer? In many of our ISKCON temples, either in the morning, say 12:30, where the Rajbhog Aarti is going on, or in the evening 6:30 Aarti, many public come to take darshan. And the pujari is doing the deity worship. And here it is mentioned, one should not engage in the worship of the deity while seeing a non-devotee. What do you answer? What is your answer regarding this? Anyone? Yes, Satan and Chaitanya Prabhuji. Yes.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, I'll just take a try.
Yes.
That type of deity worship is basically being done to purify the consciousness of people who have come to take darshan of the Lord. is to attract them towards the Lord. So at least by seeing that activity, their mind will get attracted to that activity which is going in there, rather than thinking about all these Maya-related activities when they are in front of the deities.
No. See here the point. One should not worship the deity before a non-devotee. And one should not engage himself in the worship of the Lord while seeing a non-devotee. So the pujari wants to do the deity worship, and he should not do it before a non-devotee, it is mentioned, or while seeing a non-devotee. So how do we do it practically in our scenario in ISKCON? That many public have come, 12:30 Aarti Shanka is blown and altar is open. The pujari has to do the deity worship. So what do you say about it?
Prabhuji, our philosophy is that anybody who comes to the temple is a devotee.
Yes. Yes, wonderful. So that is first thing. Madan Deshpande also wants to say something. Yes. Yes, Madan Deshpande Prabhuji.
Correct, Prabhuji. I also wanted to say the same thing. One who comes to a temple is a devotee. The moment he takes the name of Krishna, becomes a devotee, Prabhuji.
Yes. So we should come out of this whole consciousness about those who are having kantimala have their beads, and we all know that in our community they are devotees. Srila Prabhupada's one letter is there, classic letter. He says that anyone who has come to the temple, in fact, it is the Paramatma who has inspired him to come. So we should take care of him like a VIP. Take care of him like a VIP. It's the Lord who has inspired him. Brahmande pramite kono bhagyavan jeev Guru Krishna prasade paye bhakti lata beej. So he's been wandering in this universe, and somehow the Lord has inspired him to come and now take the shelter of sadhus so that he can take up to devotion. So we don't know at what point he will take up. Maybe every day coming darshan after 5 years or 10 years, or maybe one time he might come and immediately he might take up to the practice. So he's not a non-devotee. So this is first point to be noted. The second aspect is the pujari, when he's blowing the shank and then he opens the altar, he's looking out towards the deities and doing the worship. So he's not looking here and there also. So that is a little finer aspect which we need to know here. So before the non-devotee and while seeing a non-devotee. So both the things aspects are there here. The deity should not be bathed in water which has been touched by the nails or fingers. So that's why the pujari does achman. He doesn't touch the nail. While even purification, he just touches the tip here. So it should not touch the nail. When a devotee is perspiring, he should not engage himself in the worship of the deity. One should not take a vow in the name of God. One should not cross or step over flowers offered to the deities. So Nirmalya. So Nirmalya glory is being spoken by Uddhava in the Uddhav Gita, that just by Tavasrag, whatever you wear and your upabhogya, whatever you have enjoyed it, Nirmalya and all, Maya Jayemi. I can conquer over Maya. So how powerful are the remnants of the Lord? So that's why we should take them as non-different from the Lord, and one should not step over. So let me see in Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu if there is any more details on this. In Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, quite exhaustive discussion is there on the Seva Aparad. So let me just have a look. In the Angas of devotional service, it is mentioned quite in detail about the 64 Angas. Yes. Okay. Let me show you now. Okay, the slides. Yes, I'm sharing the screen. So Seva Aparas to be avoided. This is Padma Puran. This is the 32 list. So these are the 32 list. It's practically the same what Bhaktivinoda Thakur is mentioning. Now, then Seva Aparas to be avoided. Nam Aparadana Varjanam. Seva Nam Aparadana. Seva Aparas to be Vara Puran. As I mentioned here, this Vara Puran. Eating a king's food. Touching the deity in the dark. That was the first one here, if you have observed here. One should not touch the deity in a dark room. So there is something additional here, which is eating a king's food. Now, why eating a king's food is mentioned as Sevara Aparadh? Anyone? Eating a king's food, why it is considered as Seva Aparadh? Yes, Mataji?
I'll try, Prabhuji. Actually, the Lord Himself is the king, is considered as the king, and when we have a king's food, we are considering ourselves equal to God.
Exactly that. Okay, Madan Deshpande had raised his hand. Yes, Madan Deshpande, Prabhuji.
Not to eat very opulent food, Prabhuji.
It's not to eat opulent food. Okay, another still more deeper reason. King's food is opulent. Another reason. Huh?
Maybe tamasic also?
No.
Because the king's food is very opulent, so maybe we are more attracted towards the food.
Yeah, that is there. But another reason about the king. What is the king actually?
King is he's a god only. Ruler.
King is not God.
No, he's he represents he's the ruler, Prabhuji, who represents us.
Okay, that is a different aspect. But king is, why did Chaitanya Mahaprabhu did not want to see Pratap Rudra?
Oh, they are what you call this? They are mixed with
Vishayi. He's a Vishayi. He's an enjoyer of senses.
Yes.
So his papa will also come to us, king's food, when we eat. Now there is an interesting true story. This is not out of the context, but it is interesting to know. This is a true story of a very exalted saint. Just maybe he lived 50 or 100 years back. He was from a very wealthy family, and he renounced the world and came to Vrindavan to do his bhajan. His spiritual master sent him to do service of Radha Govind in Jaipur. And the pujari was, he was taken up to chanting of the holy names. He had renounced the world and he was absorbed in deity worship for many years. But yet he found that his vasanas, material desires, were still troubling his heart. So he started contemplating that, I've been so many years practicing spiritual life, but still these material desires in the heart are troubling me. So he was very disturbed. He came back from Jaipur to Vrindavan and met his spiritual master and expressed his anguish. That I'm serving the deities for so many years, but I'm seeing that the calm vasana is still troubling me. Why? What is the reason? So the spiritual master mentioned that you see, the deity is been maintained by the king. The king is managing this temple, and very opulent food is offered to the deities, and the king is a Vishayi, and you are having the Mahaprasad, what is offered to Radha Govind. Radha Govind can digest the sins, but because it is coming from a Vishayi, you are also having that. That is why still your heart is not getting purified. So when he heard this answer, immediately he went back. He started doing his deity worship, but now, no, not he did not go back. In fact, he stayed back in Vrindavan and he started practicing severe austerity of just having atta mixed with water and neem leaves. Can you imagine? That was his food, control his urge of tongue. And then he went back and started doing the deity worship. And then he did not, take the Rajbhog which was offered to the deities because it is coming from a Vishay. And Prabhupada himself, if you read his life story in the Leelamrit and other works, Prabhupada, although he was staying in Radha Damodar, he never, not even once, accepted the Rajbhog Prasad of Radha Damodar. He used to either cook his own. We know that Prabhupada had his own kitchen. The next room was his kitchen. One room he was using for his writing and taking rest. Another room was kitchen. And Prabhupada, you have seen that picture, famous picture where Prabhupada is honoring Prasad and having the darshan of Rupa Goswami Samadhi. Either Prabhupada used to go and do Madhukari sometimes, and either he used to most of the times cook his own Prasad and eat. So that is how controlled he was. So this is the reason now. Now many devotees have questions. Madan Deshpande Prabhuji, yes.
Prabhuji, but once the food is offered to the deities, doesn't it get purified and then we have it? So do the karma of the person who's offering the food to the deity, does it come to us, or maybe the sins?
Prabhuji, it all depends on the level of consciousness. It all depends on the level of consciousness. I'll give you a simple example to understand this. A new bhakta cooks and offers to the deity. Of course, the deities will accept it because he's a devotee and they'll purify it. But when we have, it can affect our consciousness because he's a new bhakta. A pure devotee with pure his consciousness, he cooks and he offers to the deity. Now, for Krishna's perspective, it is same. But when we take that, it will elevate our consciousness because it has been by a pure devotee. So from Krishna's perspective, it doesn't make difference, but it makes difference to us, Prabhuji.
So Prabhuji, but when we take temple in Prasadam also, some devotees or some satsang mandal, they also accompany in the cooking range. So once it comes to deities, it gets purified and we have the Prasadam. So even the temple, this process is, or don't we get affected by this process?
In a general sense, if there are devotees who are offering for the deities, it is prasad. But when we go deeper and understand the subject, as our consciousness elevates, we might, be very discriminative about it.
So then we only have to cook and
we might be very discriminative, and we will evaluate that time. So these are fine considerations. I think we need an entire class to discuss this. I'll give one example. Just to drive the point home. This is again a true story. It is mentioned in Krishna Kathamrit magazine. There was a prostitute in Bengal, a very famous prostitute. She was well known for her beauty, and she was quite famous in the elite class, you can say. Somehow a deep renunciation manifested in her heart, and she left Bengal and came to Vrindavan, and she took shelter of the Lord. Actually, I think Bengal or Jaipur, I don't recollect. Radha Govind only, I think it is. So she took shelter, and she had a lot of wealth, especially she had a lot of jewelry, gold. So she went and offered everything what she had to the pujari, to the service of the deities. Now the pujari knew about her. That she's a very famous. So she said, no, you're a Vishayi. I cannot accept it. So she was very broken at heart. I want to offer arpanam, it's surrender, it's a sign of surrender. When you want to give what the things belong to you, you want to become free from those possessions, and that is conducive for self-realization. So the pujari did not accept. So she was very broken at heart. She sat whole night crying, and the Lord heard her prayers. And the Lord came in the pujari's dream and told, when she's offering and I am ready to accept, who are you? Accept the offering and cook a feast from that for me. So it so happened that the pujari had to accept because the Lord had ordered. And then the pujari, made a huge feast, called the Vaishnavas and fed the Vaishnavas. Now, because it was an opulent feast, many overate in that feast. And few of them overate and they had bad dreams. And they said, oh, why there was bad dreams? Maybe because of the prasad. So they went to the pujari and asked that where did this, bhoga come from? Oh, this prostitute had given her wealth and from that I had prepared. So they became disturbed. Oh, Vishaya Anna. We have eaten Vishaya Anna, and that's why our consciousness is disturbed. So they decided to leave their bodies. They were going towards Vrindavan to give up their life in the Yamuna. So while they were traveling, they took rest in the night, and Govind appeared in their dream, and he told that why are you giving up a life? What to do? We have eaten this and our consciousness is disturbed, and now we have fallen. So Govindev said that, you see, bhog, enjoyment is for me. I am the enjoyer. I can digest the sins. You, in the mood of enjoyment, you ate that, first thing. Secondly, if you had just accepted as a prasad and the mercy of the Lord and taken, then it was okay. But because you in the mood of enjoyment had it, that is why it affected your consciousness. So then they realized their mistake. So that is why even sometimes you might, in a community of devotees, some devotee who is very wealthy and they make very opulent food, although they are offering to the deities, you go with an intention that I will not honor prasad, but with an intention that, oh, they make very opulent food. They make nice pakoras, they make nice kachoris, samosas, and a lot of sweet varieties, and you go and enjoy, then it will affect our consciousness. It's a matter of consciousness, the level of consciousness. I hope it is clear, Prabhuji.
Yes, Prabhuji, yes. So I think with the consciousness of having pure prasadam, we should go to a temple and have the prasadam, Prabhuji.
Yes. That is why even if very elevated devotees are there, which are at very high level of consciousness, if they are accepting from someone, who is very new, uh, they can digest it. They can digest it. But they are doing it for a very deep intention, how to connect that person to Krishna consciousness. So they can handle it.
Yes,
But
Prabhuji.
we who are
Sometimes
sadhakas, it will affect our consciousness.
yes, Prabhuji. So sometimes devotees come late only for prasadam, Prabhuji. So I think for their consciousness, sometimes it matters. And sometimes people, devotees who just to have prasadam in a temple, that in the sense of having prasadam only. So I think it depends on the consciousness only.
Usually, all conditioned souls are in Annamaya consciousness. Anna.
Correct.
So to transcend Annamaya consciousness, it takes many years. Yes, Sunita Mataji, you have a question? Now this, I thought the Seva Aparadha is just a list and there's only question answers going on. Yes, Mataji.
I had this question that we cook Rajbhog for the Lord.
Mm-hmm.
We take the prasad also. So how
Mm-hmm. Yes, it is very important that when we cook Rajbhog for the Lord, uh, what is our mood and consciousness while cooking? Krishna is the enjoyer. Bhog, that is why it's called as Bhog. Bhog means Bhokta. And uh, when we offer it to the deities, then it becomes prasad. So when the prasad comes, how do we see ourselves? If we see ourselves, I am the enjoyer and this is the object of my enjoyment. And that's why we overrate. The spirit of enjoyment is there in the consciousness. So there is, I don't want to go into that philosophical discussion of drishta and drishta. Drishta means the seer and drishya means the seen. So Krishna is drishta and drishya means seen. So we are like seen. So Krishna is the enjoyer and we are enjoyed. Krishna is the enjoyer and we are enjoyed by Krishna. So when Mahaprasad comes in front of me, what is my consciousness? I am the enjoyer and this is the object of my enjoyment. If we have that spirit of enjoyment, so we are, it will not have any effect on our consciousness. Although it is prasad, it is mercy, it is having a purifying effect. But still, that spirit of enjoyment mood is there. That's why we should accept prasad as in a spirit of mercy. This is mercy of the Lord. In that mood, we should honor prasad. If we still have the mood of enjoyer, because Krishna is enjoyer, and that's why it is very important. Now, again, this principle is a little difficult to understand. I'll give you one example to make it clear. This is there in the Gautami Mahabharat. Mahabharat also was written by Gautami Rishi. So in the Gautami Mahabharat, it is mentioned that after Krishna did, Maharaj Yudhishthira did the Rajasuya Yajna where he had invited all the Brahmanas, Yudhishthira Maharaj had a mood that how I should serve all the Brahmanas and not commit any offense. And I want to please all the Brahmanas here. So Yudhishthira Maharaj did the yajna, gave all the gifts to the Brahmanas, fed them nicely. And Yudhishthira wanted to know, how will I know that everyone is pleased? Krishna said, this is my Panchal, Panchajanya. After everyone has been given gifts in charity and he has honored prasad, if everyone is pleased, this conch shell will blow, he said. So when all this ceremony was over, the conch shell did not blow. Yudhishthira Maharaj in anxiety went to Krishna and asked, what happened? He said, there was one person here. He is a Swapacha Brahmana. Swapacha Brahmana we can understand. Swapacha means he is coming from a dog eater's family. He has gone dissatisfied from here. So he is there in the jungle. Please go and get him and feed him and please him. So when Yudhishthira heard this, please hear this discussion and then you can ask questions. When Yudhishthira heard this, he sent Arjuna and Bhima to go and get this Swapacha Brahman who was there in the forest meditating. So both Bhima and Arjuna went and located him. So this Brahmana said, why these two exalted personalities have come here to my cottage? And he was very humble. How can I serve you? So Bhima and Arjuna said, Yudhishthira Maharaj is invited you to the palace to honor prasad. He said, I'm not qualified. I'm very sinful. I don't have any adhikar to come there. And that too, Yudhishthira Maharaj, such a great devotee, pure devotee of Lord Krishna. No, I don't have qualified. Then both Bhima and Arjuna humbly requested, please come. Please come and honor prasada. Please, Yudhishthira Maharaj is coming, because they had to follow the order of Yudhishthira Maharaj. So he was bound to come. So he came to the palace in a very healthy fear. This is a palace. I'm not qualified. Immediately Yudhishthira Maharaj rushed and he wanted to actually do the Abhishek, Charan Abhishek. But this Brahmana was not comfortable. Krishna could understand there. So Yudhishthira Maharaj, Krishna forbade Yudhishthira Maharaj not to do the Charan Abhishek. And then Draupadi herself had cooked. Yudhishthira Maharaj had directed Draupadi to make special preparations to be offered a bhoga and prasad to this Brahmana. So Draupadi had cooked, and then this Brahmana, when the plate came in front of him, he immediately mixed everything and he started eating. Honoring, sorry, not eating. Draupadi, in her mind, she thought, I have cooked such nice, wonderful prasad, different varieties. And see this Swapacha Brahmana, he mixed everything. Swapachi hai. So this kind of a thought came in her mind. And immediately after he honored prasad, he was given gifts and charity, he left the palace. The Panchajanya conch shell did not blow. Yudhishthira said, what happened now, Krishna? He said, somebody has committed an offense in this assembly here. Draupadi's head was down. I, in my mind, thought like this. So Krishna said, once again, call this Brahmana for the feast. And then, second time when he was called, Krishna told Yudhishthira Maharaj to ask his behavior. Why did he mix everything? And that time, this Brahmana said that actually the Lord is the enjoyer. He is the bhokta. It is him whom the prasad is offered. Now, when the prasad came in front of me, if I'm in the consciousness of the bhokta, oh, this is nice. This is kheer. I love kheer. This is karela, bitter. I don't like it. So I'm in still raga and dvesh. Something I like, something I don't like. That means I am the enjoyer. So the Lord is enjoyer. Lord has enjoyed the prasad. So I, being in servant, I cannot make this distinction of what is good and what is not good in prasad. That means I am still in the mood of enjoyer. So that's why I mixed everything and honored in a spirit of accepting Mahaprasad as the mercy of the Lord. So when everyone heard this, they were stunned. They were stunned. And then they understood the glory of this exalted pure devotee. That's why Krishna wanted to show the glory of his pure devotee, this Swapacha Brahman, although he was coming from a dog eater's family. And this Swapacha Brahman had come to that yajna, but he considered himself so humble that he said, I am not qualified to sit with other Brahmanas and honor prasad. So the Brahmanas who had thrown their plate leaves, that Mahaprasad, from there he had honored the prasad. So that was his level of consciousness. I know one true story of a sannyasi who was invited by a family, and they had not, in one special preparation they had made, they had forgotten to put salt at all. And this sannyasi, the Mataji asked, how is this sabzi? So in order to keep her happy, he said, it's very nice. Give me more, give me more. So he kept on having it. There was no salt. And when there is no salt, it is difficult to have it. But he had it, and then, he nicely honored, and then for their pleasure, then when they left, and when this Mataji took the prasad, she just could not bear it. My goodness, there is no salt. And then she understood the level, just to please them, he accepted the offering because it has been taken by the Lord. It has been honored by the Lord. So that was a mood and consciousness. Sometimes, we might offer prasad to the deities and we might forget to put salt. And when the offering comes, we might, while having, salt is less. So we mix salt because still we are in the mood of a enjoyer. Why? How must have the Lord felt when it was offered not without the salt? So we should at least accept Lord to tolerate it. Why can't we tolerate it? That's our point. Okay. So I hope this is clear about it. Who had asked this question? Yes, Sunita Mataji, is it clear?
Yes, Prabhuji, very clear. Thank you so much.
Okay, Reena Mataji has a question. I want to finish this. Few points are there more. Yes, Mataji, what's your question? We are almost on the last. We want to finish it. Yeah. Yes, Mataji. What's the question?
हाँ, हरे कृष्णा, दंडवत प्रणाम प्रभु जी। ये रिलेटेड ही क्वेश्चन है। जैसे अभी हम लोग मतलब हमारा कॉन्शियसनेस ऐसे होना चाहिए प्रसाद लेते वक्त कि दैट इज मर्सी ऑफ लॉर्ड, कि हम भगवान का प्रसाद ले रहे हैं, उनकी मतलब उनकी मर्सी, नॉट लाइक एंजॉयर। तो फिर जैसे अभी मतलब आप बोलते हैं कि कोई नियोफाइट से किससे प्रसाद नहीं लेना चाहिए, तो कोई नियोफाइट है जो श्रद्धा से भगवान के लिए प्रसाद बना रहे, ऑफर कर रहे हैं, then can we take that prasad as the mercy of Lord, not in enjoyer mood,
Yes,
and
yes,
some. Hmm.
definitely you can have. Definitely you can have, no doubt about it.
हाँ नहीं, एक्चुअली कभी कोई जैसे ही इज नॉट लाइक प्योर डिवोटी, मतलब ही जस्ट वो उनकी श्रद्धा है और वो भगवान को ऑफर कर रहे हैं, दे आर नॉट फॉलोइंग। कभी कभी ऐसा होता है कि फैमिली में जैसे नॉट सो रूल्स एंड रेगुलेशंस एंड दे आर ऑफरिंग विद श्रद्धा टू लॉर्ड, देन
Yes,
एज द
see,
मर्सी ऑफ लॉर्ड कैन
here,
वी टेक
yes,
इट?
please understand here there is something called as breaking a lesser rule for a higher purpose. Even if he's a if in one sense he is non-devotee, you might see him as a non-devotee because he's not taken up to practice, but he has some faith towards you, and he has, he's giving you something, say a fruit or whatever it is. Now you are having it not to please your senses, but to connect him to Krishna consciousness more. So that act is not, an act where you're in the mood of enjoyment, to connect him more. So there is a principle called as breaking a lesser rule for a higher purpose. So that time the Lord understands the intention with which you are honoring it, and that will have a purifying effect. It will not, affect our consciousness. Are you clear about it?
हाँ, यस प्रभु जी। और इट्स लाइक राजभोग का भी पूछना था। जैसे आप बोले कि राजभोग हम लोगों को जैसे मतलब लेना, जैसे हम ऑफर करते हैं भगवान को, और घर में कोई लेने वाला नहीं है, प्रसाद इतना सारा है, तो ऐसे नहीं कि हम ऑलवेज गेस्ट तो आते नहीं है, तो वी हैव टू टेक इट, देन इट इज ओके। मतलब आप बोले कि जैसे राजभोग लेना नहीं
So,
चाहिए, हम लोग
yes, no,
सिंपल प्रसाद
not.
लेना है,
I did
इट्स
not say
लाइक
that. I did not say that we should
हाँ
not take
मतलब
Rajbhog.
हाँ
Now, there are many aspects to it. One is we can cook opulent prasad for the Lord, Rajbhog. There is no doubt about it. But especially in the temple, if our consciousness is that I am going for today's seva, 10 to 12 for cooking, and in my consciousness, I am cooking what? The items which I like. I like pakoda, I like samosas, I like this, that. I'm offering it for the, making it for the Rajbhog. And after the bhoga is offered, when this comes, now I like these items, so I have it. So in the Updeshamrita it is mentioned, cooking with the intention to have opulent food is not good for the consciousness. You should be in a consciousness, what does Krishna like? What does Mahaprabhu like? Mahaprabhu likes shak. Mahaprabhu likes all the items are mentioned in the Chaitanya Charitamrita. So in that consciousness, we should make, for the Lord. And then when the Mahaprasad comes to us, now definitely I've seen in some temples, especially in Chopati, I saw that devotees, when they sit for the prasad, whatever is, the plain rice, dal, sabzi, chapati, it is being given to all the devotees. The Rajbhog offering also comes. It comes in a huge tray. Now, when it comes in a huge tray, it is Lord's mercy. Whoever is, serving, in fact, they ask, what do you want in this? But we should accept whatever he gives because it is prasad, mercy. But what do we do? Oh, I want that kachori from that. Oh, I want that sweet from that. That means we are still in the mood of enjoyer. So mercy means whatever comes. So we can honor the Rajbhog. So after the offering is over, then you sit for prasad. So whoever is serving, you tell whatever you want to offer, please offer. So in that spirit, if you're taking, then that's the right mood and consciousness. Is it clear, Mataji?
यस प्रभु जी।
Yes,
Satananda
Satananda Chaitanya Prabhuji.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Hare Krishna Prabhu.
Yes.
Taking this discussion forward about mercy and prasadam, I just need a clarification. Now, devotees, out of enthusiasm for having prasadam, they tend to take more than what they can actually consume. and then there's a wastage of prasadam. So will that also, like, they
How
waste
there will be a
prasadam,
wastage if you
like
take
they are
more?
not able to eat the amount they have taken on their plate, and then
Uh-huh.
they go and throw it out in the dustbin. So
Oh.
will that come under the seva aparadha also?
It will come in disrespecting the Lord's prasad, that is there already in the seva prad. That's one thing. Secondly, I would like to mention that as beginners, for few years at least, we can honor the prasad more because that tendency is there, and we still are not at that level of consciousness. So we can have more prasadam, and we should also, because that gives nourishment to us physically, mentally, and spiritually. Our ISKCON runs on the engine of prasad in one sense, but it is over a period of time that we should understand these final aspects. And Prabhupada, when he was speaking on this on a lecture, then devotee said, Prabhupada, what would we eat? A lot of prasad? Oh, that's okay. You can do a lot of work also, seva for Krishna. So yes, you can honor more prasadam, and then okay, get to temple hall cleaning, get to cleaning all the utensils. At least we should do that. We should use that energy of having Mahaprasad in spending that energy in Krishna's service. So like that, we should compensate also like that. So that's why it is recommended that sadhakas in the beginning year of their spiritual life should do a lot of service, physical service, so that they can purify the body and senses. So it is okay in one sense also to have a lot of prasadam, but not to waste prasadam. That we should take care. And initially it happens. The mind is such a thing. When you're having the prasad, oh, this item is there, that item is there. Let me first fill my plate and keep it. So we do atyahar, or maybe this gulab jamuns are there. Let me keep it in my lota, store it for eating in the evening. So atyahar, happens. So it is there, and over a period of time we understand and be careful and not to do atyahar. This is because of atyahar. The reason is. You clear?
Okay, Prabhu. Hari Bol. Thank you.
I will just finish this list and then take the questions. This is last now. Okay. Where is? Okay. We were still in that. Okay. We have finished the list. We were taking King's food, such, one point the whole discussion went. Now, I'll just take one point about this King's food. I want to tell you a simple story, and I want the answer from you all. So this is, I've heard it must be true. In the Vedic times, the kings also, once end of their life, they used to renounce the palace and go in the forest to do tapasya. So one of the king decided that I'm going to now retire and go devote myself to the Lord in the forest to meditate. So the king went to the mother to take her blessings, and the mother blessed the son. My dear son, live in a fort and eat like a king. These are two blessings she gave. The son was bewildered. What is this? I'm now going to retire from material life and renounce this material life and more absorb in spiritual life. And my mother is giving a blessing that eat like a king and live in a fort. So what is the deeper meaning of the blessing of the mother? Anyone knows? Live like a king, eat like a king and live in a fort. Yes, he's supposed to leave the fort and go to the forest and live his kingly food and eat simple food. But the mother is saying, eat like a king and live in a fort. What is the deeper meaning of this? Anyone else? Yes, Sunita Mataji.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, I didn't raise my hand for this
Okay.
answer.
Okay. Anyone who would like to answer? Think about it. eat like a king, and live in a fort. This was a blessing she gave. Anyone? Try out. Madan Deshpande Prabhuji. Yes.
So you like eat a lot of opulent food, but always keep your consciousness at the foot of the God.
Okay. Not really. But what about the fort? Live in a fort.
It's a fort. What F-O-R-T?
F-O-R-T. Fort. Fort is in what is it? Killa. Kings live in their killa, na?
Maybe
So this was a blessing.
eat opulent food, but stay with the devotees in the group of association of devotees. That's a fort which is for us.
Yes. The second answer is yours, correct. So when the mother blessed that live in a fort, she meant live in the fort of the association of devotees. Don't leave their association. Now eat like a king. What exactly she meant? Think about it a little bit.
Well, offer the best of the best to Krishna, so that best food we get as prasadam.
No. So when she said eat like a king means eat when your hunger is at the peak.
Oh, okay.
When your hunger is at the peak, you will not discriminate.
Yes.
Whatever is on your plate, you will have it. That is what blessing she gave. Eat like a king and live in a fort. So, okay, we have finished the discussion here. Again, these Padma Puran, approaching the deity without proper rules, it is the same thing. Music or bell, opening the deity door, gathering food seen by dog, breaking silence, visiting, worshipping after eating pork, duck, or hing, or kusuma leaves. Now, hing and kusuma leaves are mentioned because hing smells. If you take hing, it smells out. So even the kusuma must be the same thing. Then advocating the tambula, it is also mentioned. Worshipping during inauspicious times, Asura Kala. That's why when there is grahana, it's not that, it affects the Lord, but, we treat the Lord as part of family, and the devotees have more like the Lord has not come in the mood of, Savior Bhagwan. He is Savior. He has come to accept the service and the love of his devotee. So the devotee has a kind of protection mood towards the Lord. So that's why we don't worship in Asura Kala period. Then worshipping while sitting, this is there. We have already touching the deity with the left hand during bathing. Then this is during bathing the deities, not to touch with the left hand. Withered flowers obtained by begging. Spitting during worship. In India, this is a big problem. People spit out, so this is a real very bad habit. Showing arrogance, wearing horizontal tilak, unwashed feet, offering deity non-Vaishnava, sight of a non-Vaishnava, offering, worshipping without first worshipping Vignesh, that is Ganesh here. Worshipping after seeing a tantric, bathing the deity with water touched by fingernails, and worshipping while perspiring. Almost the same list, some differences there. So we will stop here now and take up tomorrow further discussion.